Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 24 of the Diversey BW Hotelier GM show series. We are well into the season and just about 2 more weeks before we close and draw curtains on the show. But I have a very good show today. I have some very, very impressive general managers as I circle back into the city of Mumbai. And today we tackle a fascinating and high energy topic. It's appropriately called Master of All Trades, the General Manager's Guide to Turning Hotel Chaos into Five-Star Calm. Now, this topic says it all, but let the general managers tell you more about it. In an industry where guest expectations are constantly evolving, general managers must wear multiple hats to balance operations, guest satisfaction, and brand consistency. Today, we have a stellar lineup of hospitality leaders from Mumbai's top luxury hotels who will share their insights and strategies on how they transform everyday challenges into seamless guest experiences. I will be moderating the show. My name is Bhuvanesh Khanna. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panel of speakers. Without much ado, let me begin. Our first speaker today is Nikita Ramchandani, who's the multi-property vice president for Mumbai market and general manager JW Marriott Mumbai Juhu. Who doesn't want to be in that hotel and be toasted? Welcome to the show, Nikita.
Thank you, Bhuvanesh. Good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure joining you all this evening.
The pleasure is ours. Next in is Aveek Sengupta, new to the city, but not new to the business. He's just moved in to take on the role of the cluster general manager operations and the general manager for the Vivanta Navi Mumbai. He's a man who wears many hats. He's also the brand leader for the Tree of Life Resorts while also leading the Ginger Hotels for Maharashtra. Quite a portfolio you have there, Aveek.
Thank you for having me for the show, and I look forward to interacting with my industry colleagues and learning from them.
Thank you so much, Aveek. You missed out on the portfolio, though.
Oh, yes. So I think your questions may be allowing me to explain on that. So let me keep that for later.
Okay,
but
great.
It's an exciting portfolio that
All
I must.
right. Next in is Subhrajit Bardhan. He's the general manager of the Holiday Inn Mumbai International Airport. Like I call him, welcome to the show, bro.
Hi, Bhuvanesh. Happy to be here. And hello to everybody here around, Nikita and Aveek. I think great to have a platform where we get to meet old friends and new, right? So second time in the show, and thank you for inviting. I'm sure we'll have a invigorating evening with chats on the eve of Valentine's, right? So I hope.
Looking forward. And what a day. Yes. Happy Valentine's. Last but not the least, another new entrant to the Mumbai hospitality scene, Kunal Shanker, who's the general manager of the Novotel Mumbai, Juhu Beach. He comes in from Mahabalipuram. Welcome to the show, Kunal.
Thanks a lot, Bhuvnesh. To Series 3, this is the third time that I'm on your show. And it's always exciting to be with a distinguished set of panels here. Look forward.
Sure. Each of these general managers, they have huge portfolios and they have fantastic hotels which run into a few thousand crores each, if I may say so. And they carry the burden of not just their brand, they carry the burden of the industry that they work for on their shoulders, and they're brilliant brand ambassadors. So watch out for each word they say, soak it all in, for they are good, they should be your mentors. Now, they bring in valuable experience in managing and leading some of the most iconic properties in this rapidly developing region. Now, let me begin with my first show with Nikita. Is this our first show together?
No, Bhuvanesh, it's our
Maybe
second
not
show together.
second. You were there in the first season.
That's right.
All right. So I shall bring in the first question to Aveek with your permission, Nikita.
Please.
Aveek, tell me, let's talk about multi-property and multi-brand leadership. How do you manage the diverse requirements of multiple brands from luxury to mid-market under a single operational umbrella?
So very good question. And I sense that this question may come. So that's why I tried
Held
to,
back.
hold back. So see, as I said, is that it's a very, very exciting portfolio handling Ginger, Vivanta, and Tree of Life. So all these three brands have their unique persona and they have different values which they offer to the customer. But there is something which is cross-cutting, which remains the same, which is hospitality. And for our kind of a company, which is IHCL, which is the torchbearer of Indian hospitality, Tajness is something which flows through into all these three brands. However, having said that, there are differences also, which are very, very clear, like the brand standards. The brand standards of all these three brands, maybe there are some which are very similar to each other, and then there are very, very different. So, for example, in a Vivanta, you would go above and beyond, and you would do a turn down service in a suite. Whereas maybe in a Ginger, you don't even have a suite. Whereas in a Tree of Life, since it's a very small hotel, so you know every guest by name and you provide a very, very soulful experience. The chef would come to your room and ask you that what do you want to eat for dinner tonight, and he will make something which is very local. The villagers will come and meet you. So that kind of experience won't happen in a Vivanta. So what I'm trying to say is there is something which is common and there is something which is different. And then at the back end, there is something which provides us a lot of synergy, like finance, HR. These are the support functions where we can synergize. And that is where my role comes in, that I have to bring synergy between all these three brands or all these group of hotels. So as I speak, I have around more than 30 hotels which are reporting into me. So I have to bring synergy between them so that they are all able to work together, gain from each other's strengths, and in fact support each other so that they can overcome their weaknesses, but at the same time maintaining their individual identity.
Excellent.
So that is my answer.
So tell me, why don't we hear, since you're the man in the spot, let's hear a little bit more about Tree of Life. So the people are not much acquainted yet with this latest acquisition.
So Tree of Life is lose yourself and find yourself. That's our tagline. So Tree of Life is a hotel, a small boutique hotel, something between 20 to 40 rooms, give or take 5-10 rooms more or less. And it is in middle of nowhere. So it's well connected, but it is not necessarily in a famous tourist spot. It may be, but it may not be. The idea is that you get to spend time with yourself. So you lose yourself. When you go there, first you feel a little lost. You think, what do I get to do? But then you suddenly realize that have you ever spent time with yourself, with your own family, with your intimate friends? And then you start discovering the other part of life, which probably in today's day and age, in this modern age with the virtual worlds, we have forgotten to look into our souls, into our families, into our close friends. So you discover that. So that is why we say lose yourself and then find yourself. That is our tagline. So we have 17 hotels as of now. We are going to open many more. And I invite most of you, if you can make time, including my colleagues here, to come by and experience our Tree of Life hotels.
Let me take on that offer and be over soon, God willing.
Yes, thank you.
All right,
Please.
Nikita, I'm coming to you now. You're heading a portfolio as well.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about your portfolio one, and also tell me managing multiple properties comes with unique challenges. Who better to tell us about that? And how do you prioritize your focus and ensure operational excellence across locations? It's not very easy, but being a lady, managing all this, I'm so proud of you.
No, well, thank you for that. So Bhuvanesh, if I can just touch on what my portfolio encapsulates, and Aveek, I'm most impressed. 30 hotels sitting out of a Vivanta there. It's a lot. It's a lot to take on. So my oversight is, along with being the general manager of the JW Marriott Juhu, I have oversight of the Mumbai market, the Navi Mumbai market, and we call it the sub market, which is markets of Nagpur, Nasik, and Belagavi, which is Belgaum. So that's essentially the hotels that I support.
So
Give
how
or
many
take,
of
there
them
are,
in there?
I'm sorry,
How many of them in there?
15, 15 hotels.
Excellent.
And yes, I'm proud to say that that's also across brands. So it's a very steep learning curve, but one that I truly enjoy. To lean in on your question, Bhuvnesh, I think a lot of us, if I may say so, and take the liberty to on this panel, we enjoy this, right? As cliched as it may seem, to take on these challenges. It's just inherently who we are. And you're absolutely right. Every hotel is unique. It's always about striking the balance. It has to have operational efficiency, making sure we're efficient in what we do. And yet at the same time, we're running a business. We are very responsible for top line and bottom line results. And it really requires a certain ecosystem that one builds around themselves to be able to focus and truly deliver what we're meant to do. And I can speak for myself, right? What is it that I do in order to prioritize to make sure that every hotel is as important as the next? So I think one key thing is, understanding our KPIs. And in our organization, I think one thing we do really well is our definition of success. We work with the concept of market, management by objectives. So we have very clear KPIs. And that's the first step that really simplifies where the focus is required, be it KPIs driven towards performance, financial performance, or operational performance. So KPIs are a very clear indication which hotel requires focus in which direction. Number two, and actually is the most important thing, is our leadership teams. I'm very fortunate. I can really tell you I'm surrounded by some very, very competent leaders. And we have a very clear communication system there. What needs to be escalated and where the empowerment sits. And really surrounding ourselves with the right people makes lives of someone like myself a lot easier. So really investing with our teams and investing in that leadership goes a really long way. An organization like ours is fairly large, so really standardization of SOPs, clear brand standards, knowing the definition of what is expected operationally to be delivered by brand, by hotel, and being in sync with that, knowing what's happening in our hotels and how we're standardizing that. And last but not the least, which is easier said than done, time management. You need to be very, very agile in this role. Your priorities can keep changing, but it's about being very strategic. Important to say no, the art of saying no when you can't do something, and really being able to prioritize where your time is spent and how effectively your time is spent. So yeah, that is just a little bit from my side. It's obviously a learning curve, one that I thoroughly enjoy. But yes, that's just a little insight into, how I work with the hotels that I support. Bhuvnesh, I have you on mute.
So my apologies, even Hercules dropped it. Now, I've seen you grow in the role, and you've grown fast from the first day when you came into the JW Marriott to how your portfolio has grown.
Yes.
Tell me, how are you able to keep your focus managing this hotel and traveling and managing everything? You said your team is strong, you're gifted.
And I think I can't take full credit for that. For that, I give a lot of, credit to my support system and my various stakeholders, starting with my team. I'm very blessed to have a very strong executive committee team at the JW Juhu itself that support me. My stakeholders, my primary stakeholder there is my ownership. Youth supporters of what I do. I've worked with them for the past over 3 years. And it takes a lot of an owner as well, right? When you have a general manager that's supporting so many other hotels. So I'm very appreciative of how they've supported this transition as well. And then, of course, my own leadership within the organization. So I think it's really alignment of all the relevant stakeholders that allow me to do what I do. Yes.
Excellent. And then managing a full-time job back home, that's a full-time job. So that requires...
I have a 50% partner in that. It's a 50-50 partnership. So I'm very fortunate to have a partner, my husband, who's my spouse, who's a youth supporter, my biggest cheerleader. So
and
yes.
there you are.
Yes.
That keeps you going. That's half the job done.
Absolutely.
So, bro, if I was to come to you, let's talk about airport hotel operations. What operational challenges and guest expectations are unique to airport hotels, and how do you maintain operational calm during peak periods?
I'm sorry, I'm probably transgressing on the last question. I think I absolutely cheer Nikita, because I'm telling you, if somebody told me I don't take 50% of the load at home, I'm seriously telling you, I'm going to take offense about it, because I take as much workload at home, from washing dishes to cleaning the house. And I have a housekeeper who is my partner, Manmeet. She's not a hotelier anymore. So I really like that, that 50%. I think sometimes I wish I had I had more ladies in my team, because I sure can tell you that, ladies are more capable in doing the job in the hotel as well as home.
I
But
couldn't agree more.
yeah, no, that's three cheers to Nikita and Nikita's partner.
Thank you.
And
That's very kind of
yeah.
you. Sorry, I butted in there, but thank you.
So, no, I think first of all, I think little bit I didn't want to interrupt you, but we are, although we are close to the airport and we are in the proximity of the international airport, only about 20 minutes away, but this hotel is 15 years old, and it has been always maintained as a business hotel, which is close to the airport, right? So, although we get a lot of airport traffic, in the sense that we are not a true airport hotel, but we get a lot of guests who are in transit, and a lot of people who are probably visiting their families in Gujarat or in the other parts of Maharashtra, who come in, and this is the port of entry. So a lot of people spend short times there. So the common thing about an airport hotel and our hotel is probably the length of stay, right? You don't have guests who are staying for that long. A lot of guests come at wee hours in the morning or way late in the night. I think that's the only thing which is different. We have almost 80% of our guests are business travelers. So I think most of us handle the same sort of demographics in the hotel. But as a hotel which is close to the airport, I think one of the things is that the hotel never sleeps, right? So the fact is that's true for every hotel. But I think for a hotel which is close to the airport, and especially a Mumbai airport, which is probably one of the busiest airport in the country, I think that 24/7 is the thing which is a big deal, right? So there is no time for slack. There is no time when you can plan, like, some of the days where probably at 1 o'clock in the night you get absolutely butchered in the lobby. And that's what one of the things, I won't call it a challenge, because it keeps us on our toes. And the other thing which I always feel is that I've worked for, again, varied types of hotels, although not in this role. I don't have to this is the only hotel which I have to manage. In other hotels, what I felt is that when you are in a resort or probably a little bit longer stay period, your turnaround time, because today's guests and today's scenarios are where your turnaround has to be quick, because the guests are always connected to you. I think that is something which you need to be, right. And guests can be like a truly hotelier parlance, I think you have to be on 24/7. And if you are 24/7, you have to be approachable, you have to be connected, like, you have to pick up the phone, not three rings, probably 2.5 rings, and at any time of the day. And you need to have in today's, again and again, I say that one of the things which I always struggle is that when a guest calls for a general manager or a manager, a lot of times it happens that it takes quite a bit of time. So, it's absolutely important that, when a guest asks for something, we need to drop everything. And that's I think true for every hotel, but for an airport hotel or a hotel which is called close to the airport, the turnaround time, the window is very small. So you really need to be agile. You need to be flexible. You need to be really creative in giving solutions to guests. I think that is something which I would think are the key success points for a hotel like us.
I can imagine. I've taken in the services of airport hotels, and I know how that works.
Absolutely. And with the weird timings of aircrafts nowadays, most of the time your guests who are coming in come in early, and the departure guests are generally the ones who take the late flight, right? So that's a juggling that you have to do every day.
So, Kunal, from one coastal assignment to another one, tell us about coastal hospitality challenges. I think you're the best person to handle that. What are the key operational and guest services challenges in a beachfront property, and how do you maintain service excellence despite external factors? You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Good evening, Bhuvanesh. This hotel, the Novotel Mumbai, Juhu, is a very unique hotel. So we operate as a business hotel, we operate as a leisure hotel, and we operate as a resort hotel. So in 7 days, we behave very differently. So Monday to Thursday, we are a typical corporate hotel, with 60% of our clientele being corporate, MICE, crew, although we're not near the airport. And come the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are like a leisure hotel, or typically close to a resort hotel, with 70 to 80% of our clientele being couples, families, solo travelers. So, in a week, what I call how we manage the guest experience is very unique, because 4 days we manage them as a corporate, and next 3 days, what I call, we ensure that we have to engage them. And the hotel is very lucky to have 5 F&B outlets. We have 4 specialty outlets, one coffee shop that excludes the IRD. So this type of a big business mix helps us to monetize our F&B very well. So 47% of the business mix of this hotel is F&B. So we ensure that we cater, and make our F&B work, so that we're able to make our guests, be inside the hotel, engaged, and able to get as much of the contribution, revenue contribution from the guests. So I think this is an opportunity more than a challenge for us. The hotel does what I call very well, extremely busy. We do close to over 90% occupancy over the weekday, and typically sold out over the weekend. And if I would say what my challenges are, my challenges would be, in spite of whatever we do, because of the guest mix, is managing the breakfast experience, which is the highest impact to guest satisfaction. So that is constantly that we are, something that we are working on, improving, innovating how we can, manage the guest experience. And second, as Subhrajit also mentioned, the turnover time, between the guest check-in and check-out, we have a very short window. So that's another challenge, that being able to give the room to the guest on time, because 3 o'clock is the designated check-in time. So that's a challenge, every day, that in spite of the departure follow-up and the guarantees that we take from the guest, to give the guest the room on time. So this is what I would say was very typical to my hotel.
Like they say, each challenge is an opportunity. So you
Correct,
have
correct. So business is an opportunity. So managing that, in a location like that, that's a slight challenge, but it's quite interesting, managing
Thank
it.
you so much, Kunal. Thank you. That was wonderful. Aveek, let me come back to you for another. Tell me brand positioning and guest experience, if we can speak a bit about this. What strategies have you implemented to maintain distinct guest experiences for brands like Vivanta, Ginger, and Tree of Life in Maharashtra?
Okay, so what we do is that first is that everybody, we being a Tata company, put a lot of emphasis on the people. And I think people are the software which drives hotels. So having said that, we ensure that the people who are there in a particular brand, for example, the person who's the resort manager of a Tree of Life, or a person who's working in a Ginger, or for that matter in a Vivanta, should understand the ethos, the brand philosophy of that brand. And to make him understand that, we have elaborate brand standards. In fact, so much so that when we put a person from one brand to the other, we ensure that that person undergoes some amount of training which involves a brand immersion. So he spends some time in that hotel, understands what it is about, and then he is able to deliver the facilities. So and myself, in my own capacity, I travel a lot, and I go and immerse myself in every new hotel that comes up, and I understand what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and we try to solve it in a mutually respectful manner. For example, a Vivanta would have a manning of say 1.2, and whereas a Ginger will have a manning of only 0.4. So then, obviously, the way we operate, the brand standards, the way we do things are very different. So all these things are made using our brand standards, which are guest facing. And at the back end also, for the smaller hotels, the most of the support functions are centralized. For example, for a Tree of Life or a Ginger, there is no finance department in that hotel. The finance sits out of the corporate office. Purchase function sits out of the corporate office. Okay, the IT function sits out of the corporate office. And we lean on the closest IHCL hotel in case we need some emergency support for engineering or for IT or for finance or any other thing. Then we can lean on the nearest IHCL hotel, which is a Vivanta or could be a Taj. So that is how we have a structure which allows us to implement strategies brand by brand and give specific experience to the guest, which and to train our employees to be able to deliver that experience.
Excellent. So that's so it's like cross managing with one in a hub and spoke model. So you have one IHCL hotel which supports the other ones on the spoke. Excellent. And I guess that's the best model to go with, least meat on the bone.
Yes, and also the other thing is the people working in that hotel should understand the brand very well. They should live and breathe the brand. So if a person is going from a Taj to a Vivanta or a Vivanta to a Ginger or a Ginger to a Tree of Life, he has to understand the brand philosophy, because it's not that, and we don't look down on, no brand is a second class brand. Every brand has the capability to stand on its own, and every brand has been created with a purpose.
True.
So we have to understand that every brand has its place in this world. It has its own customer. It has its own employees also.
It has its own philosophy.
Yes, yes. So that is very important. Once we understand that, then everything else falls in place.
All right. Thank you so much, Aveek. Nikita, let me focus a bit on the JW Marriott Juhu, if I may, and pick on your mind. So the JW Marriott Juhu is an iconic beachfront property. What strategies do you deploy to manage the challenges posed by the coastal environment?
No, thank you for that, Bhuvanesh. So I think firstly, full credit to the architect of that hotel, because it was designed so sensibly. So our hotel is actually what you'd call a U-shaped architecture, where you're obviously maximizing the view of the sea. So really the shape of the building has been designed in such a way that it's been very mindful of its location, its coastal location, and also leveraging the location to its fullest. So really what that does is, from a maintenance and upkeep standpoint, right, it reduces a lot of direct sun exposure. So that itself also helps the maintaining the building. It also in ways where we get a lot of breeze, because we are now getting obviously the sea breeze coming our way. The shape of the building is such that it kind of mitigates that and kind of reduces the impact to the overall building and upkeep. And then, needless to say, as any large hotel or most hotels and all hotels, we have a very robust preventive maintenance program. Also, the materials we use for the building are conducive to our weather, being mindful of where we are. The maintenance protocols we follow for the facade, the upkeep of our facade, again, being mindful to the location. We've also obviously invested in a certain element of technology, right? Climate control technologies, our HVAC systems today, making sure we're maximizing on our opportunities where we can be very diligent in the way, what we're spending on and how we're spending. And of course, then supporting the community. That's a big one, right? With our location. We are very intrinsic to community over there. So how we support the community, that beachfront over there. So I think it's an element of all these things, design, upkeep, infrastructure, and then most importantly, kind of constantly enhancing technology and using it to our advantage, where we are making ourselves more sustainably viable as well. But yeah, intrinsically, the structure has supported us so much that then we can take it from there.
So I get the import of the design bit, because when you come in and land from the Juhu side,
Yes,
you see that the magnet.
correct.
Yeah. So, okay. So one doesn't realize why it's done.
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so that helps us a great extent.
It does. It does. Great. Thank you. So we're to the midpoint of the show. I'll take a short 30-second break and come back. Thank you, Diversey. Thank you for all your support. Means a lot. With your support, we're able to carry this show to the furthest corners of the subcontinent and to all hoteliers of every ilk. With that, I come to you for your second one, Shubhro.
Hi, yeah.
All right.
Ready for you to shoot.
All right. So tell me a bit about sustainability and technology. How is the Holiday Inn leveraging technology solutions to optimize operations and enhance guest expectations and satisfaction?
Yeah. So sustainability, I think all of us are aligned to the UN conventions, right? In the sense that we are all looking towards to 2030. So as part of most of the hotel chains, we are committed to it as IHG, and we have something called the Green Engage, which is basically making sure that your energy conservation measures are put in line. So every year or every 2 years, we have a target that we have to do. So like from water consumption to electricity to changing from biofuels to, from fossil fuels to biofuels. I think we have all those in line, and we are measured, and it's all real time. Every time electricity bill comes in or consumption comes in, they are all automatically updated into the system, and everybody, starting from my team member to anybody sitting out at the Gurgaon office or in the Denim office, can actually have a look at how the hotels are doing. So that's about sustainability. Apart from that, I think one of the things that we do quite a bit is, I think we underplay it quite a lot, is the education part of it about sustainability, right? So there are a lot of training programs that are online that we have in our learning portals, but also we do quite a lot of trainings which are done by our engineer, done by our hygiene managers, to make sure that there is absolute knowledge and awareness in every team member that we have. We have about 235 team members. So I think that's one of the things, because sustainability is not only in numbers, but also sustainable in the true way, right? Why are we doing it? What is the mission, and what is the reason that we are doing it, right? We are doing it for our kids, we are doing it for ourselves, and it's not only a company slogan, right? That is what we do. And I think apart from that, as far as technology is there, hotel industry in general has been a little slow with technology. That's why I think we call ourselves people industry, and the human connect. But I think we need to augment that human connect. Human connect will always be there. We are like Aveek said, people are people. They are the people who are the software of our business. They are the people who deliver the truth, right? The moment of truth. So we cannot overlook that, but at the same time, I think we need to make our lives easier, right? I remember the days when we used to be boasting about the work hours that we had, right? We had those. We believed in 70-hour weeks, right? But the fact is that's not the truth anymore. I think even some GMs, or even me, I would count myself in, we don't like to do more than probably a 10-hour shift anymore, right? And for that you need technology to support you, because unlike probably the times when we started, I think we have many things to do. Like we have out of the four panelists here, we have two of them who are managing 14, 15 hotels, right? So it's not going to be an easy job. Like even me handling one hotel, it takes up 10 hours. So I'm guessing that 14 hotels would actually, if you do the old school job, it will take 14 days, right? To
As
manage
long
those
as you're
hotels.
not asked to do 90 hours a week.
So that's why I said 70, right? I would love to look at my wife, but let's not get there. But I feel technology is an enabler. We need to adapt to technology. I just came back from the GM's conference, and while the gentleman who is an ex-hotelier and now into AI, and he's based out of Dubai, he started off with Oberoi Hotels, and I realized that he and I were at the same time in the Oberoi Hotels, and he's moved on, and I wanted to meet him and congratulate him and say, how do you get to be a AI tech guy, right? So he said, I started off as a waiter. So I said, hope is still there for us. So while he did the presentation, he was talking about AI and how AI can help general managers make their life easier. So we all know about Chat GPT, but we use it for text. But he showed us how you can make a presentation in 2 minutes, and instead of looking at how the presentation looks, actually concentrate on how your productivity can be better, how your GOPs can be better, how can you actually make strategies to develop.
It frees up your time for others.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've started using that. So, my thing today is that every second day I ask a team member saying that, tell me what presentation do you want? And I'll make it in 2 minutes. So that's the challenge we are doing. And I think that's a fantastic way of using technology, right?
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. And for IHG, I think one of the biggest things that we are doing is, at the moment, the hotel is going through something called IHG Connect, which is seamless Wi-Fi. And that connects to a lot of things in guest interface, right? So looking at a check-in, digital checkout, looking at guest feedback, or let's say guest request being online and real time. I think that is what we are going through. And hopefully in the next 2 months, we will be having that in Holiday in Mumbai. Apart from that, I think as at the back end, like Aveek said, a lot of things in the hotel is preparation, right? So we have one of the most cutting edge revenue management tool that IHG has developed in last 2024 is something called N2P, which is almost like yes, we have connected with a company worked with a company called Revenue Analytics, and almost 1,100 data points of every city is being considered while looking at the pricing of a hotel. So it's not humanly possible. It's not possible for a revenue manager or a revenue team to do it. I think these are the things that we are doing. I would like to be more technologically driven, but I think we have to depend on the newer generation a little bit to push us and nudge us forward, right? So I think that's what we do. And
Very valuable.
yes.
That's extremely valuable.
Yes. And I think bringing in the younger generation to the forefront and giving them that free hand to do things and take decisions, that I think would be the best thing that we can do about being technologically savvy. You need to keep learning from the youngsters.
Thank you so much, Shubhro. That was extremely valuable and very detailed. Let me walk across to Nikita's neighbor, Kunal. Nikita briefly touched upon the local community. Why don't we speak about local community integration, and how does the Novotel Juhu Beach engage with the local community to offer authentic guest experiences and drive foot traffic?
Great, very interesting question, and I'd like to fuse a little bit of sustainability in my answer. So the best way that you can contribute to the local community is by by giving a positive impact. So Accor as a company, worked with several chains, has taken the early lead in terms of sustainability. So in terms of what we do in the hotel, and I can probably say that the Novotel Mumbai Juhu Beach, imbibes all the good practices that Accor globally follows in sustainability. So we do not use any single-use plastic, whether in our F&B, whether in the rooms, even our laundry bags are, paper. We use bottling water, and the way that we, recycle and segregate our garbage. So, being in a very sensitive beach area, so we ensure that, we are very clean in terms of our disposal of, garbage. So I think that's number one. I think how sustainability directly impacts. And then I would say that number two is that because of the environment in the beach side that we have, we try FEB plays a very key role, and we try to do we try and tie up with the very occasionally with the fishing community and the villages, and see that how we can, because we have an open beachfront, then how we can, get the local flavors, in terms of our food promotions, and our food promotions are typically more live than what you would typically do in a buffet restaurant. That's there. So festivals like getting the local flavor of Juhu Beach, and currently we are doing a Pathare Prabhu food festival. So that's a very ancient community, the old original community of Mumbai, but not many people, do that. So we have a, promotion going that. So that all, fuses the local environment, the local ambience in which we, operate. So that's our endeavor, to make, monetize and, see what we can do best, which aligns in the area that we operate in.
Thank
And the
you.
hotel again, I would like to also add, hotel is a very iconic and legacy hotel with over 40 years, history, and it has a very emotional connect both with the local people as well as our guests. So I've been 3 months in the hotel, and I see the third generation people, engaging in the property, very very emotionally connected, and I think they are our brand ambassadors, and before we can tell them, that. To kind of advocate us. I think it comes from the heart. So yes, very iconic and very interesting.
I think the local community and all who surround the hotel, you've all grown up together.
That's
So
right.
it's almost second skin. Thank you so much, Kunal. Aveek, now I want to come back to you and pick on your mind about operational blind spots. With multiple brands under your leadership, what's the one operational blind spot you've identified that others have often overlooked, and how do you address it?
Yes, so very good question. And I'll tell you that blind spot is something which often in our industry is something which we forget to look at. And that is when certain things don't fall in place, we call people our software. But when things don't fall in place, we blame people. We say, oh, that guy forgot. This guy made a mistake. This guy's training is not good. His attitude is not good. We say that. But this is actually a blind spot for us hoteliers. So, what I have done is that we have implemented a thing called design thinking, which I guess everybody understands what that is. So, we try to understand that why do people not do what they don't do. I'll give you an example. So, there is this hotel where we were getting a lot of complaints that the guest comes to the hotel and there is nobody to take his baggage. Okay. So, it's a resort location and it's quite spread out. So initially we were thinking that, oh, wow, well, this bellboy is missing. And I mean, the reception guy is busy. They must not be doing their job properly. But when we went down and saw, we realized that we have only one bellboy, okay, who's a local from the local community. So he's busy assisting another guest. So of course he will not be present at that time. So what we started doing, we used design thinking. So what we did is at the main gate, there is a bell which rings at the reception. And then at reception, there is a bell which rings in the back areas like cafeterias, housekeeping, those areas. Okay. And it's either a bell or a light, depending if it is a guest area. So when a guest arrives with the bell or the light, everybody comes to know the guest is arriving. So maybe one guest is arriving, but 5 people will turn up. So the guest suddenly feels very happy. Oh, wow, there are so many people to welcome me. I have come to this desolate location and see so many people are here. So with this type of thinking, design thinking, we have been able to solve this problem. So we are trying to use design thinking to overcome the blind spots. So the blind spot is that we tend to blame our software, but the design thinking helps us to solve it by thinking for a creative or a technological solution.
Excellent. This reminds me of what I was with Reliance Retail. So we had this bell every time somebody would enter a store. So, everybody would get warned that there is a footfall. All right, interesting. So Nikita, you are perhaps the best place to handle the next one. Let's talk about global and local balance. Yeah. How do you strike a balance between leveraging global brand standards and incorporating hyper-local elements that resonate with the diverse Mumbai clientele?
I think we have a living example in myself and the teams who we are, right? Marriott
True.
International is a global company. We are a North American-based headquartered company.
Yes.
But walk into India and walk into a Marriott hotel, chances are 100% of the associates that you'll interact with are all local Indians. So really, it's taking taking the advancement and everything that we learn as a global organization, really. And today we thrive in that, right? We have the advantage of scale. We can take advantage of what's happening in various parts of the world, really filter what's relevant to us and bring it home. And then applying the expertise, because there's no one better who knows how to operate in India than Indians.
There you are.
Think as an organization, we are very, very aware of that. And that's how we've structured ourselves. So a couple of years back, even with a large company that we are, we split the continent of Asia Pacific. And what was the rationale of that? Typically, because you've got to bring the business closer to home. You couldn't sit out of Hong Kong and Singapore and decide what's best for India. And that's really what you're seeing Marriott doing across the globe right now. Our local teams are larger, we are more strengthened, and we are represented. Any representation of Marriott that you're interacting with within South Asia, which is really the area we represent, and India is the dominant country there, are locals who understand and are closest to the business. So I really feel we have the best of both, right? We take everything that's globally relevant. So you have the agility, you have a first mover advantage, and then you adapt that with your local talent, which is truly your strength. So taking the best of both worlds, I would say, is, and then synergizing and really adapting to the local client. You can't take something that works in, I don't know, in a Hong Kong or a San Francisco or Sydney and believe it's going to work in Mumbai. So really, providing that uniqueness is very important. And that's where people come in and the talent comes in.
True, and that would be a bad fit. So you've got to absolutely adapt to the environment of the local.
And yeah, and in Marriott, we truly believe in something that we call speed to market. Right?
Excellent.
And when we say speed to market, you can have the brightest ideas, right?
Right.
But the best strategy is called execution.
True.
Sit in a boardroom and discuss everything, but if it doesn't come to the shop floor, it's just talk. So speed to market can happen when you have your best people in market.
So the devil lies in the detail.
Absolutely. And getting the job done.
Absolutely. And if you can't execute, all your planning is worth nothing.
Absolutely.
Now, let me give you a bit of an example. When I was in Reliance Retail, and we were identifying stores, and we were just doing pilots then, way back in 2004, 2005. Our chairman, Mukesh Bhai, used to tell us, take so-and-so bus number and circle the catchment on foot and on bus. And we used to ask him, we used to tell him MDA, we used to call him MDA. I said, why Mukesh Dhirubhai Amani? He said, because that is where you will know which catchment has what kind of people. And that is how you will build the assortment. So we used to ask him, why the bus? How do you know it? He said, well, till 1969, I was on one.
No, absolutely.
Right? So you have to get down off the high horse and get into the detail. I'm so happy, Nikita, I asked you that. Brilliant response.
Thank you.
Right? So Subhrajit, for your third one. So if you can tell me loyalty in high turnover settings, in an airport hotel setting where guest turnover is exceptionally high, what innovative strategies have you implemented to build a sense of guest loyalty?
So my question is, my answer would be quite simple. I think we are like most of the hotels. I think we know that we are actually serving the same guest who is probably moving from one brand to another or one type of hotel to another, right? So a luxury guest is not necessarily confined to a luxury segment anymore. You have people who are actually going from one hotel to another because of their needs of business or needs of their leisure, right? Travel. So I think the whole old school thought of, a luxury and a media or a business hotel or a budget hotel, that doesn't really hold true for a lot of things. So I personally feel is that the getting back to basics, I think, the basics of business, right? You have to understand the customer is the center of everything, and only happy people can actually make other people happy. So concentrate on people who are your team members, who you give them, I won't say wings to fly, that would be Red Bull, but I think break all the shackles that they have and make them actually imagine hospitality as their first day in hospitality with wide eyes and that ever what do you call it, the eagerness to please every guest, right? The first day when you entered a hotel or a hotel school, I think that was what the basics of the business were. We are in the business of making people happy, whether it's for a short stay, long stay, probably a day use room, but it's still the basics are the same. And I think one of the things which we keep on forgetting is that uh, we forget that people are watching us. I think every leader, every person in the hotel needs to really own the brand, own the hotel, own their guests, and make sure that they walk the talk. We a lot of times don't realize that when you're doing things, you may think nobody is watching, but a lot of times somebody is watching, right? So I think making sure that you lead by example, and the culture in most of the hotels and most of organizations is uh, led by top down people. So I think it's important for us as leaders to be role models and be listening to each and every team member, because when we unfortunately we spend a lot of times in the boardrooms, like some of our colleagues also mentioned, and we don't get as much time to speak to our guests. So make sure that the voice of the guest is the voice of our team members. Listen to them, make sure that we don't overcomplicate things, and make sure that make 200 presentations to figure out why our customers are unhappy. Like a bell can be, it's like when Aveek was telling the story of the resort there, I was remembering the Three Idiots movie, right? So why do you invent a pen which writes in space when you can actually carry a pencil, right? So if a bell makes, you don't need to make presentations, probably just go and buy a bell, right? That's I think one of the things that we keep on forgetting. We you don your black jackets and suits, and then you forget that you are still basically a waiter and a chef and a housekeeper and a bellboy. That's what it is. And I think one of the other things what we need to do is give a lot of ear to the new generation, because they are people with a lot of new ideas, in the sense that they are more I think they we talk about experiential travel. I think even if a guest is on business, if he is in transit, they are still looking at some individualized experiences and unique experiences. Like they say, you never forget how somebody made you feel, right? So those are small bits. It doesn't require an hour to make somebody's life turn around, right? It can be in a flick of a finger, right? So it's like magic. So I think those moments of truth are totally something which we should all cherish and inculcate, and never forget that hospitality is still about the nuts and bolts, and making sure that it's a people's business. And whether it's a guest who is a loyal member, or somebody who's coming in only for a one time, I think turning that experience. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We certainly treat our loyal guests, our diamonds, and our platinum guests special for sure. But at the same time, every guest has to feel that
True.
sense of belonging to the place, even if it's for a day or maybe 5 years or 10 years, right? That's what it is.
Thank you, Shubhra. That was valuable. Kunal, for the last question of the show, let me circle into you. Tell me about sustainable coastal maintenance, since yours and Nikita's are beachfront properties, and she just spoke about it. Tell me, beachfront properties face unique wear and tear challenges. What's one operational insight you've discovered that significantly reduces long-term maintenance costs? You're muted.
Actually, this is a very relevant question, and this is one of the biggest challenges that I faced in this hotel. So, my hotel is over 40 years old, and we are located at the beachfront. So, the biggest enemy for the hotel is the adverse weather. So, whether it is high humidity, heat, the incessant monsoon that takes place in Mumbai, it takes a toll. It takes a toll on the property. So, my learning is having worked before also in a coastal environment, and with a property that has been in operation for a while, I think the only way to overcome it is what I call planning, planning and organizing it well in advance. So, as we're talking, we're already in the process of looking at our entire facade terraces in terms of the waterproofing, because that is something that impacts us in monsoons. And we, in a high occupancy environment, we end up taking 20, 30 rooms, typically historically out of service, because we are not able to give it to the guests. So that is something that we are starting the pre-monsoon work, and we looking at new technology, new compounds where you don't have to kind of break the structures and redo them again. So that is one, planning and organizing. And number two, my learning is that do not compromise as the property becomes older on RM expenses. Please, make sure, and I always make sure that I budget enough so that I can take care of the property and ensure that all the critical AMCs, the critical the preventive maintenance and the asset is taken care of. Otherwise, 6 months in a coastal environment, you're in a very reactive state trying to fix things. So that's been my biggest learning, and what I'm implementing here at the Novotel Juhu.
Well, it's difficult, but not impossible to manage. After all, there are a whole lot of locations which are built on the sea. Singapore, for instance, not very friendly. Chennai,
That's right.
right? And you've handled Mahabalipuram. Thank you so much, Kunal. With that, we come to
Thank
the
you
end
very
of the show. Let me sum it up. First of all, thank you to all of you. You've been wonderful speakers, not just wonderful speakers. You presented amazing views which will be watched again and again and again and again. Like we've learned over a period of time, live viewing and then the recordings. So let me quickly summarize some key takeaways from today's discussion. Aveek shared valuable insights on managing diverse brands from luxury to mid-market and maintaining brand distinction across Maharashtra while managing almost up to 30 hotels across 3 brand portfolios, Vivanta, Ginger, and now the Tree of Life. Nikita, she's explained the complexities of managing multiple properties and coastal operational challenges while managing over 15 properties across a large geography. She even crosses into Belgavi. Am I right, Nikita?
Yes, you're right.
So tell me, let's hear your locational areas.
My locational areas. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. It's Mumbai, of course, the city of Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Nagpur, Nasik, and Belagavi.
And Belagavi. There you are. You're not going into Dharwad and all.
No.
Not yet. Soon,
No.
maybe, God willing.
Yeah.
And of course, Nikita and Kunal also spoke about the local communities and the challenges of being on the beachfront. Subhrajit discussed the unique operational challenges at an international hotel and the role of technology in enhancing efficiency. Kunal highlighted the challenges of managing a beachfront property and the importance of local community engagement. Now, as we wrap up the engaging discussion in episode 24 of this Diversey BW Hotelier GM show, we've explored the art of balancing operational challenges with guest satisfaction in Mumbai's dynamic hospitality landscape. I must thank all my speakers. Before we close, I also want to thank Diversey. Before I formally thank the speakers, a big thank you to Team BW and BW Hotelier, who bring out shows one after the other, back to back. They've done 2 today, they've done 2 yesterday, and 24 till today. 8 more shows to go, 2 more weeks to go. So guys, just hang in there and put your best foot forward. And now, thank you so much, Nikita. It's wonderful to have you back.
Thank you, Bhuvanesh. Thank you very much.
Right, and such a pleasure, I must tell you, hand on heart, right?
Thank you.
And Aveek, thank you so much. Last time, Ahmedabad, now here, and a much bigger portfolio.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to again joining your show.
God
Better,
willing,
better Mumbai.
soon. We shall do one physically soon. And thank you so much, Shubhro. Always happy to have you back.
Thank you.
Kunal, all the way from Tamil Nadu and into Mumbai. And we shall soon see you when you're over to see your parents in Noida. God bless you. Thank you all. And
Thank you,
ladies
sir.
and gentlemen, thank you for patronizing our show, for watching us. Our views run into almost hundreds of thousands. And we are watched not just across the subcontinent. We've got viewers in the Middle East, in the Far East, and across Africa and parts of Europe. Why do I say that? Because we get acknowledgements from there. And what are the links? How do we watch the show? Keep watching us, keep supporting us, and thank you so much. Bye-bye, Nikita. Bye-bye, Aveek, Kunal, and Subhrajit. God bless.